All right, friends, family, fans, we are back with another episode of Hacking It in Hollywood with my main man. We are looking fly. I had to go with the wig because I could not let my normal hairstyle get outdone by my main man, Brad Thomas, over there from NBC Sports. How are you this fine Wednesday evening?
Dude, I'm doing good, man. Listen, I was sitting at the golf course today, got to watch some golf in person, cut up some videos for work, winding down the day, sitting back with my dude. I'm excited about this. I'm excited about the whole thing because what's funny about what we do is like, sure, you can get stressed out if you lose a bet or maybe you just weren't on point that week. You're always going to be able to just have fun and let loose on shows, man, and just talk about a sport you love. So I'm super stoked, regardless of what happened this week. We have this moment that we're sharing together.
We have this moment, dude. I went on the Pat Mayo show for a best bet segment, and I bet Eric Cole top 20, and he's second last. So, you can't do much worse than what I did on that. So it's all good. Redemption season looms. But we were chatting in the studio before we jumped on that you just like started learning soccer in college. I landed up playing soccer pretty much. I'm from South Africa, obviously, and played soccer growing up in like middle school. Landed up breaking. My mom made me stop racing go-karts. I came second in South Africa in go-karts, like on like the tarmac surface ones.
Yeah.
When I was in like 7th grade. And then they made me stop because it was too dangerous. The next year I break my wrist playing soccer. I was the center back, and some big like forward just ran into me, and I just landed on my wrist wrong and broke it. Like what are the odds that happens? But talk to me about how you got into golf. Talk to me about how you landed up at NBC Sports. It's a really cool story.
Yeah, so I got into golf. Actually, it's pretty funny. I was like a little kid. So growing up, I played combat sports, karate, jiu-jitsu, Krav Maga, all that stuff. And I guess like my parents wanted me to do more. Be more active and have something that's kind of more of a future towards what you want to do. One day I was a little kid, about 6 years old. My mom walked in. She's like, "Do you want to give golf a try?" And I was like, "Sure." You're 6. And so then I joined a junior golf league, been playing golf ever since. I started like writing, small golf articles, DFS articles before I was working for NBC Sports Bet, which was NBC Sports Edge at the time.
Yes.
I really wanted to join. I was like, "Yo, please let me join." So it's just funny. Like I'm already working at Golf Channel, not doing anything content wise. And we have like this meeting, how we do this partnership deal with PointsBet. And in the meeting, I'm like, "Listen, you guys are like outsourcing for people. I'm in the company. I will do it. I'm excited." No really response from the moderator, but besides laughing. But I went out and I emailed every single person I could find that had affiliations to that network. And luckily, one of the guys was like, "Yo, Brad, we have a spot open. Can you write some soccer articles for us?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." Wrote soccer articles for free, by the way. For a year until they brought me on as a full-time employee staff member. Then I do golf, soccer, do a little hockey every now and then.
Hell yeah, man.
Horse racing, college football, really everything. So,
dude, that's the crazy thing is getting into a content industry and trying to get like a mainstream situation. You have to suck it up early, man. There is no fast and furious hardline piping into that world. You got to grind. You got to write a news article for pennies on the dollar. You just got to do what you got to do, show the people what you got, and then you break through. So if anyone that's watching, like it's a grind. You're not the only person that's just sitting out there wondering why you're wasting your life away writing articles for free. Peanuts. Like. At the end of the day, if it's meant to be, it will be. But, that's a really interesting story there, Brad, because not everyone just gets into the stuff willy-nilly. It's
no. Yeah, it's wild. Like, I've been betting for a long time too. So like, it's funny to see it coming together because you probably remember this, depending on how long you've been in betting. But there was a time where my mom was like, "You need to stop betting. It's not good for you." Or like when I started my first podcast in 2015, it was taboo back then. And people were like, "Oh, You have a sports betting podcast? Now it's like, oh my God, dude, you have a sports betting podcast? Tell me about it, man. Tell me about it. You know all about it.
At like Thanksgiving and stuff, dude. Yeah. They love that shit. They will come up to you and say, hey, you got any good bets for me, man? Like any locks, you know? Like,
yeah, they do.
It's crazy. Like when I posted onto Facebook a while ago, you know, I just to start off with, I needed some traction and just to get some friends involved and some feedback. I was so scared to use the word gambling on Facebook because it's like this taboo thing. And in South Africa, I think it's even worse. You know, like America's the land of the fast and furious and you know, the make your own dreams come true. And that's how you do it, gambling, right? So in South Africa, it's a bit more reserved. And I think I use the word betting and you know, like DFS analysis and stuff like that to try and make it seem a little easier. But at the same time, now it's just gone to a world where it's like, you know, like we're starting to look good and things are going great. So lots of fun stuff there. Before we get into some bets here, I want to ask, like, what's your golf game like? Are you a drawer? Are you a fader? Can you work it both ways? Are you a better iron player than a putter? Like, what's your situation?
Yeah, first I'll say I'm so depressed that you asked me this because I tore my meniscus. Now it's been 2 months and I haven't I've touched a golf club, but I haven't swung a golf club since then. I do have like the putting practice setting up in my office, so I at least practice putting. A solid golfer, was much better. I'm a 14 now. Okay. Natural fader of the ball, but prior to getting hurt, I was working a little more right to left. Strong iron player, really strong with my irons. I wish that I didn't hit my driver so spinny because I'm like a solid sized dude. So like I can hit my irons pretty deep, but my driver is not as consistent in length compared to like I can hit a pitching wedge like over 150 yards, you know, like with an easy swing, but my driver's probably like 265 carry, which, you know, doesn't really correlate. So it's kind of frustrating, but definitely go with irons. Putting, you know, I think I'm a Scotty Scheffler when it comes to tinkering. I got a new putter recently and I switched from the mallet to the blade, and I switched from a really soft putter to a really hot face, and I've been terrible, terrible putting, like just three putting away. But I like here in Florida, like in anybody who's watching this, you'll see with like the Florida swing, like the greens are massive. That's just not a tour thing. That's like all the courses out here. So like, if you have a soft face putter, you're gonna have to put some oomph in it if you have really long putts.
Interesting, dude. So you said you're at the course today. Are you at Bay Hill?
Yeah, I was. I was at Bay Hill.
Tell me what you were seeing. Like, it's not often. I didn't even know you were at Bay Hill this week.
Yeah, so there's a couple things that I feel like all week we were kind of hearing that it was going to rain either yesterday or today and soften the course up. And I kid you not, it was overcast until 11, and then all of the clouds rolled out. And it was just scorching hot with the sun out. I think it was about 89 to 91 degrees. I feel like this course is going to get baked out. So one of my buddies works for Bay Hill. He only works for the tournament. So I was asking him like what he was thinking while we were out there. He was thinking that they didn't have a chance to like the rough didn't grow as fast as they thought it was going to grow. But he thinks over the next 4 days, so starting tomorrow, the next 4 days, it's going to get thick. I took a video. It'll probably be up on NBC shortly, dropping a ball in the rough. I wasn't that far offline, maybe three yards offline. It's still pretty deep, so long irons out in the rough is going to be really tough. If you're 200 out, you're probably not hitting the green if you're in the rough. I'm just really excited. Like, I love this course. I didn't get a chance to field any of the bunkers yet. But from when I was looking, they look kind of heavy. They'll get dried out as well. Yeah. I did see Hovland chip in, which was pretty sick.
Oh, good. So he's chipping okay.
I was like, he's chipping better. He looked to be in good spirits. Like, I feel like, what was it, like maybe 3 events ago, he wasn't looking in good spirits. Like, he looked like he wanted to not play golf but work on his game. But he's like smiling the whole time, which he normally does when he's having a good time. Sure, so yeah.
That's good, man. I have him in all my one and dones. I'm going to be loading him up in DFS.
Yeah.
Couldn't quite get to him in the outright market, but hey, you know, he came out at 12-1, and I'd pretty much, you know, once I saw that, I was like, not playing that. I'll go elsewhere. So as we go through this, we're going to go down the board. I'll give you some outright options. We're going to play some back or nine. You can, I'll give you two options. You say who you're going to back, who you say nine to. I'll do some outrights. I'll do some top 10s, top 20s, a little bit of top 40s as we go down, kind of see how I feel as we go along. And just kind of give some people that are watching that haven't placed any bets yet, if they got an idea of a golfer, we can maybe steer them in the right direction or not.
Yeah, for sure.
You can also mention if you've bet that bet or not, like how you've approached that guy this week.
I'm excited to hear the top 40 market because it wasn't out when I finished my card. I had to, obviously with this tournament, I had to finish early since I wouldn't have as much writing time. So I'm really excited to hear that market.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in the plus money side of things. So maybe we kind of stay clear of the top 40.
Yeah, probably.
Top 30s or something.
You're like, you see like a mid-tier guys would be like minus 300.
Yeah, yes, Emiliano Grillo is minus 225 for a top 40. So it's going to be
that's hilarious.
We've got you at the top of the board. Scotty Scheffler minus 2,000 for a top 40, or Rory McIlroy minus 1,400 for a top 40.
Parlay piece.
So let's just start with.
I don't even think we're at 70 golfers, right? Like they never got to the 70 number, so that's pretty tough anyway.
Yeah, they never got to 70. Andrew Novak's had as many top 10s in the last 3 starts as Webb Simpson has since 2022 began. And yet, we've got one in the field. We've got other. Mrs. Maniac just got home, so the dogs are going to be barking here, but it's all good. Let's speak about some dogs barking and Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy at the top of the board here. Top 5s, back or 9. Scotty Scheffler at plus 150 or Rory McIlroy at plus 190.
9. I'm going to take neither because when I compare the prices of their top 5 versus the top 10, I'm only getting like 50 cents or 90 cents of value, but I'm getting double. I'm getting double the placement percentage there.
Did you say neither?
Neither.
That's not how this works, Brad.
I can pick one of them.
You got to pick one of them, whether or not you're going to bet them or not. You can easily just tell me I'm not going to play either of those.
Okay.
But
see,
if
listen,
someone is in the mood to bet either top 5, then we can add them.
I had the game wrong. Okay. Of the two, Rory McIlroy. I just can't fathom like how good Rory is at this course. Right? Like he has incredible history. This course is basically designed for him. And I think that, we've seen him so far this season, I guess you could say struggled for his standards. But at Pebble Beach, he in an interview, he said that he kind of striking a line through Pebble Beach because, the course conditions were not what they were expecting. And then the weather, then he played okay at Genesis. And then I thought he played pretty well last week. Couldn't putt whatsoever, but like that was his first losing putting round of the year across, United States and overseas. So first putting tournament. So I think that could be easily corrected. So that probably him, because I think he could win this tournament. I had him last year at 12-1. Probably not going to dive back in at his price now, though.
Yeah, I don't know about. I've seen a lot of people betting Scotty and Rory this week, and it's been quite interesting to see that. Like right now, Scotty on DraftKings plus 650, Rory plus 850. It's interesting. So to answer your question, because I bet Scotty minus 140, for a top 10.
Yeah.
So that's how I went with that. I wasn't going to go with the top 5. That can quite easily just get missed by 1 or 2 strokes.
Yeah.
But I think Scotty in general just finds himself inside the top 10 all the time. So if I were to bet one of the two, I'd probably bet Scotty, even though his odds are a little slightly shorter there in that market. But so you went Rory plus 190 for a top 5 versus Scotty.
Yeah, I went with Rory. And this is no knock on Scotty by any means. Like he's putting on a ball striking clinic. It's just we say course history of a guy, like we're literally comparing a winner of ages ago versus a guy who literally just won. But I'm just talking about the consistency of always finishing inside the top 10.
Oh yeah, dude. And I mean, if you look at Rory and Scotty, the worst finishing position was Scotty in 2020 when Scotty wasn't even like Scotty,
Yeah.
Since then, if you take that away, it's a T13. That's between the two of them. That's their worst finisher. So
yeah, it's crazy.
It's almost like you got to play one of them this week. You got to, kind of get your hands in the pie in one way or another.
I have a confession to make too.
Okay.
I normally post these kind of bets on social, but I couldn't. I love Rory McIlroy, right? Like I used to be a Rory hater. If he's watching this, I'm sorry, Rory. We worked an event together, and he was super changed my perspective of him. So I didn't want to go, and I'm gonna be there all 4 days, and probably gonna follow him. I bet him, but I parlayed him with some soccer, so I got 15-1 on him. So if he wins and my total outright card that I posted loses, I'll feel bad for losing people money, but personally I'll be happy because I did take a little DGen action on him.
Okay, hey, that's totally fine. I'll be 100% honest, and I was laying in bed when I woke up for the Genesis, and Bet Rivers sent me like $100 free bet. I don't usually like get that big of a free bet from them. I'm laying in bed, I'm like, Justin Thomas, boom. And I just like hit the out, like turned out that worked out pretty well. But it's a free bet. It is what it is. I had the FOMO. You just get it out the system. Then you place all your other bets on their socials just fine.
Exactly.
It's probably not the best etiquette to have, but hey, like that's how life goes. You always got to try and do something to keep you in the green. So that's all good. All right, let's dive into a few other guys down here. Let's leave the outright market alone.
Cool.
And we'll do the disgusting bros. I feel like between the two of them, they've got the exact same odds across the board. That's just typically how these bookies do it. Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay. Would you like a top 10 or a top 20 on either? They're the same odds. Plus 170 for top 10, minus 150 for a top 20. You can pick and choose where you want to go there.
Wow. What's funny is like they have the same demeanor. They're best friends, and their games are so similar. I'm probably going to go with Patrick Cantlay. I just probably trust him a little bit more in terms of consistency. And to start this season, he's been freaking awesome. Can't convert a 54-hole lead, but I mean, we're only talking about placement bets here.
Yes. So would you go Cantlay top 10 or top 20?
Top 10.
Top 10? Yeah. I like Cantlay top 10 plus 170 there. I do have my eye on Xander. So how I figured out Xander, if you go take a look at his round by round stuff, there's always a round where he hits like neutral or reverse. Like, these top guys, they always need to be repping out +1, +1.5, like strokes gained on the field.
Yep.
Xander has that one round. It's either after a good one or early. It's a negative half. It's 0.02, doesn't quite get out of first gear. Then I bet him because the following day it's just send. He loves to like put himself in the corner and then like fight his way out. He likes to be the underdog all the time. He doesn't, and I think he's scared of the lead, so he just likes to float around in that comfort zone of the top 20 there to like the top 5. And that's how I've come to terms with Xander. I don't want to bet him at minus 150 yet. I'm going to wait for that bad round when it eventually happens round 1 or 2. And then we dive in. It'll be probably plus money or the same, but you at least know where he is game-wise and how he's playing so far in the week. So that's how I'm going to approach him this week as a bit of a live bet. But Cantlay, love the course history here too. I'm cool with that. Let's do a Victor Hovland or Ludwig Aubert plus 2,000 or plus 1,600. Victor, 16-1. Ludwig, 20-1. Back on 9.
I took Ludwig already. And so I talked about this on PGA's podcast where the Florida Swing, I have this opportunity to like see all these golfers and see them and talk to them in person. And I always talk about good vibes. TPC last year, Scotty Scheffler was the first golfer that I ran into. Instantly at that moment, placed a bet on him. I already had a bet on Ludwig, but I will tell you, as I was passing through the breezeway, the Players Breezeway, here's Mr. Aubert right here sitting in front of me. And actually, to be honest, he wasn't the first golfer. The first golfer was Nick Dunlap, and I did go up to him and say, roll tide. But he was the first golfer that like had an interaction that was not on the golf course. And I feel like that's good vibes. But outside of the good vibes, like I was actively trying to fade him this week, right? And the reason I was trying to fade him was probably not a good like statistical reason. It was more of the eye test, if you want to call it. And it's kind of my little shake of the head to the media. Have you noticed that every time they're showing Ludwig putt, he's missing a putt, right? So it just feels like every time on the broadcast he's missing a putt. I'm like, how is this man such a bad putter? And I went and looked back at his stat profile. This dude's he's a gainer on the putting surface. Yeah. And then I went back and looked at his stat profile from last season at this tournament, and I was like, he was a big-time gainer here. I went with him. I think that both kind of game styles, I like his a little bit better, a little bit more, especially where Hovland's game is at right now. He admittedly was talking about his game not being where he wanted to, took some time off to kind of correct that. Let's remember, this is the same Hovland who was it last season, hit a hole-in-one at this tournament. So still two really good ball strikers, but I went with Oberg.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Oberg to. So I was hoping you'd keep going with where you were going there, because I've got this tendency. I was speaking to Darbo about this the last time on Hacking in Hollywood, where I just have this thing where I want to fade these popular guys. I'm a contrarian by nature. For some reason, I hate it when guys get hyped. Like Minwoo Lee is like bothering me badly right now. So I'm just waiting for Oberg to like show up. And nobody's talking about his like very mediocre finish at the Genesis. You know, it was like a 19th. Yeah. I think he kind of shot up the leaderboard on Sunday. He wasn't really playing good golf for the majority of the week. And that should have been a really good course fit for him. Now, I understand the first time appearance, whatever. We'll see. He's been tearing it up in these easy conditions. If you think about all the times he's played well. The Pebble Beach was a designated event, but what were they? Minus 15, three rounds or something ridiculous. RSM broke the course records there. You know, like all of the John Deere Classic, all those kind of places. Then you go to the Genesis, then you go to these big boy events, and he hasn't quite shown up the way we're looking for Ludwig to do that. So I'm kind of curious. I'm going to be fading him. If I were to pick, I would go to Victor at 16-1. I'm kind of disappointed that it drifted back that way. I wasn't a fan of the 12. I would be in on the 16 right now and easily get rid of a few guys that I bet at 70-1 this week. So
doesn't it always feel like when you see these prices settle in and you look at your card and you're like, God, I wish I could, like, I don't have the option to cash out where I'm at. So like, I'm like, man, I wish I could cash out on these. Like last week, even though Fitzpatrick played fantastic, I wanted to cash out when I bet him last week, and I didn't have the option to cash out. I felt like I could have added somebody else. Now, I wouldn't have added Eckroat, so I would have still lost, but I would have felt more comfortable getting a little bit more value on some of the numbers that kind of slipped.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And I think, you know, it's us people that like give out picks and put content out and have a Discord. Cashing out isn't really an option, because if you've given, you know, picks in the Discord and then you're like, you know what, going back on this one. So
they hate you.
Yeah, I don't do that. It's just not okay. So I don't do that. It's all good. But the thing is, these bookies are sneaky, man, because they come out with these super short odds on the big guys, and then they'll let those drift backwards. And they'll let us smash the shitty golfers down in the 70s, the 90s. Smash a Jake Knapp at 90-1, Luke List 110-1.
Yeah.
And then they're going to drift a Ludwig to 16. And now I'm sitting with a handful of banana peels in my hand.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm just so it is tough, but the markets have been like, since getting into golf betting, I've only done it for like 3.5 years, you know, pretty much since just right before COVID. And the market is moving now, boy. Like, a Monday morning odds market is it's like a NASCAR race, dude. It's crazy.
Tough.
It's a Royal Rumble. Just people odds just getting thrown out the ring like 3 hours through Monday morning, you know, like unbelievable names.
Dude, I was saying, like, it used to not be like this. And as a content creator, like, especially a handicapping content creator, you don't want to give out bad numbers, but sometimes I feel like it's a race to the market and I'm not even done prepping yet. Like, I can miss a number at this point, I can miss it by like $5 and $6. Like, I'm not even like prepared. Like, there's numbers I grab. I'm like, I gotta grab this number and we'll deal with it later.
Exactly, man. And that's the thing, is like, I started doing the Sunday stream because usually I throw my model together on a Monday morning. A few numbers at like 10 o'clock. No, like, you got to wake your ass up at 6 o'clock in the morning, have all your tabs open and like, hawk that shit, you know, like, you got to be ready to rock and roll. Unless you're like just a casual guy that wants to like catch the Victor Hovland drift at 16 and call it, you know, but that's super sharp. Anyway, someone I really want to chat about and someone that I'm like looking forward to really tilting this week is Jordan Spieth. And then I'm going to throw him in the mix with somebody by the name of Matt Fitzpatrick. And Matty Fitz is 30-1. I've bet Jordan for a top 10, so I'm curious as to your situation. Let's do Jordan Spieth top 10 plus 200 and Matt Fitzpatrick top 10 plus 260. To give the people some feedback on those two guys, Jordan's finished 4th in his last 2 starts here. Fitz has finished no worse than 14th in his 5 events. 4 of them have been top 10s. Back or 9?
Man, I have to take Fitz. And Jordan, like, this is a course that Jordan should love anyway, but I just think of how many courses on tour we kind of call Fitz a good fit, right? And this is definitely one of them. Basically, the 2 courses that we're going to play in these next 2 weeks here, trained here in Florida, plays really well at difficult courses and has the course history. And to add on to your point, that T4 team was last season, and the top 10 finishes 4 in a row were those 4 seasons and those 4 trips here. And what I really liked about last week is, he was struggling with his putter coming into last week. Doesn't play the Cognizant often. I don't know if he ever played it. I couldn't remember, but I knew that this would be like a test. If he was a gainer on Bermuda, it would be like, Mr. Same old, same old. I'm used to playing on Bermuda. I'm comfortable with Bermuda. And he putt really well. And the second I saw the first half of the leaderboard on Thursday, I knew Fitzpatrick wasn't going to win. Fitzpatrick's not going to go win you a birdie fest. And for him, when he finished T21, T28, one of the 2, I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head, but I thought that was a really good finish for a guy who's not going to go out there and fill up the cup in birdie fest, but he does grind out courses really well. I have no knock on Jordan Spieth whatsoever, but I think that if we're going to be betting Jordan Spieth, like, if I'm going to be excited about Jordan Spieth, I'm going to be more excited about Valspar than I'm going to be at API. And I'm not saying that you can't bet a guy back-to-back weeks, but I just feel like between the 2, I'm going with Mr. Fitzpatrick there.
Hey, I bet them both, so that's why I'm asking you. And I bet Fitzy to finish top 20 at -120, with ties.
Yep.
And then I bet Spieth for a top 10 and a top 5, a little bit of a ladder situation there.
Yeah.
I feel like if he finishes 4th again, we would not be surprised whatsoever. And he'd most likely be looking like he's going to win this tournament for 3.5 days and then do what he did to me at the Valspar. Like when he hit that ball, were you on him at the Valspar, dude?
Oh my God. And wait, so listen, I'm really big into vibes, man. Really big into vibes. I thought he was going to win for sure when I went to Valspar last year, and I went to the wrong parking lot. Okay, I pulled into the players' parking lot. I think it was like Tuesday, and I pull into the players' parking lot, get out of my car. Like no one said anything. I guess I was in a rental car, so I probably looked like same old, same old. All these guys in rental car. I get out, and Jordan Spieth walks up to me. He's like, "Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?" And I was like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" And I was like, "Oh, wow!" And I was like, "What is going on?" He's going to his car, and I'm literally in the parking lot. I was like, good vibes, because he could have been like, "Dude, what are you doing here?" But he was like, "Hey, man, what's up? How's it going?" He must have been like, "This guy has to become somewhat important to park in the players' parking lot." And man, Jordan is just like, I feel when Jordan's the kind of golfer, if he wants to go for it, if he wants to hit the tough shot, you have to let him. Because once that second guessing starts to happen, should I go driver? Should I go 5-wood? Should I go iron? Once that happens and you know what he wants to do, he's going to hit a poor shot. Like when he hit 5-wood in the water to lose us at Valspar. And man, still giving me freaking nightmares, man.
And it wasn't even just like it bounced on the fairway into the wall. It was just middle of the freaking pond.
Yeah, dude.
It was like, and it was like they just debated that. That is such a good point. Like Grella has probably the hardest job in the world. Let's be honest.
Yes.
Like it is not an easy gig. So we understand that. But like Jordan is a psycho. You just got to let him ride, man. Like the probabilities of him taking on a very difficult shot. Like he's one of those guys. Like I work really well under pressure. Like my articles come out like last minute sometimes. That's just how it goes. That's how I function. He functions in like Bubba Watson sees the shaping kind of way, so we'll have to see what happens with Spieth. But I've figured out like there's guys I just don't do that with anymore. I bet him for a top 5, top 10, like the likelihood that he breaks my heart in epic fashion in that regard, slightly less than an outright, so the Cam Young situation as well. So let's do that as our last one and kind of go with Cam Young and Justin Thomas let's do a top 20 for both of them. -105 each. They're both 28-1 to win the tournament. Justin Thomas, Cam Young, $9,000, $8,700 on DraftKings each. Cam Young has finished 10th and 13th here. JT's finished 21st. So both playing good golf entering the week. Who are you backing? Who are you saying 9 to?
I'm actually going to back Cam Young. I'm putting that bet in. And honestly, people talk about Cam Young and, you heard the nicknames all over social media, Scam Young, can't trust him. But he's consistently putting out good finishes. Like he had that run of stinky golf, and I think he's past that. He's consistently putting up good finishes. Yeah, he's not winning, but it's so freaking hard to win a golf tournament. And especially with all of these young guns or first-time winners or these long shots coming out, I think it's important to know what kind of golfer do you want to be for the longevity of your career? Do you want to be the guy who wins 1 year and then has like 6 consecutive missed cuts, and now we're wondering what happened to this guy's game? Or do you want to be the Cam Young who's consistently knocking? Because I think one day that door's going to break open. I'm going to use a reference that's going to be a little bit of a stretch, but it's going to make sense. It reminds me kind of like Scottie Scheffler. Scottie Scheffler, before he won his first event, was consistently known as the best golfer to not win a golf tournament. And he just kept knocking. And there were legitimate people who were like, upset that Scottie was not winning tournaments. So like, I keep betting on Scottie, but he's not winning events. And I think it's the same thing happening. Now, obviously, we know Scottie Scheffler's a world better ball striker than Cam Young, but Cam Young plays these tough courses really well. He plays this course really well, and I think he's going to have a good chance at first-round leader too.
Good. I've got a 33-1 on Cam for first-round leader. So that's the way we're rocking and rolling, and it's my only first-round leader bet. I'm just going with him because I think that's his golden right now. He comes out so hot, man.
So hot.
Been doing it a lot. So we'll see what he gets up to. Any other names you want to kind of just throw off the top of your head there, Brad, before we jump into hacking it in Hollywood?
Yeah. Just last one. Sam Burns. Quietly putting together a really good start of the season. With Sam Burns, I wasn't going to bet him. I was going to legit bet him at Valspar. And I had to pull the trigger here. We already know he plays well on Bermuda. His putting, his putting throughout the entire year, since last year was a lot better than I thought it was. And I felt like there were times when I was missing, like when I felt like he was missing and costing him better finishes. But then you look at these finishes that he has, T10, T3, solo 10, T6, like these are really great finishes. And why not? Why not Sam Burns at 25? Like what's separating him? Maybe one round in the entire tournament where instead of him going out and being 2 under, and this is a different course, obviously, but he's 5 under in that tournament. I mean, in that round, and it changes things. So I like Sam Burns a lot this week. I'm not flirting with anything else. Like I'm not taking him any placement market. I just go ahead and put the unit on him to win.
Cool. I've been riding Sam top 20 for the majority of the year, and it's been working well.
Been cashing.
Yeah, it's been great. He's like really found his stride. The drive is working nicely. And when his driver starts going, dude, that's the domino. That meme with the small domino, and then it's like, how do we get here? When that small domino falls and the big one eventually is the win, it's because of the driver for Sam Burns. That's how he gets that momentum going. The irons click, the chipping and putting comes along with that too. So kind of love that call too. I'm not necessarily overly invested in Sam this week. There's so many good golfers. It's hard to like really commit to one or two, but it is what it is. So
it's funny. I just want to tack onto that statement you said. I'll be quick. In betting sports, people who are watching literally have to remember this, right? Like when you're in these signature events, you could literally have the most stacked betting card and be nowhere near winning because there's another 5 golfers who just play out of their mind because they're superstar golfers.
Yes, dude. You could, like if you just bet 5 guys top 5, thinking that's going to be that's a little extreme, but I totally understand what you're saying, man. It's like you're looking at these odds for top 20s and it's like minus 120, and then you just see like 12 of them, everybody's minus 120 for a top 20. It's like, and that's how they're making money because it's not plus 100, it's minus 120, and that's just how it's going to go. So brutal stuff in that department. It's going to be interesting. I had some really bad breaks last week with like Sam Burns and Mathieu Pavon on 18.
Oh,
They both hit in the water on that final hole, like costing me big time, like, so we're looking for some redemption. I bet Wyndham Clark for a top 30 at the Genesis, and he missed the cut.
yeah.
Like, just the most bizarre stuff happens in golf, but it is what it is. And speaking of bizarre, Brad, let's get into Schitt's Creek happening in Hollywood. This is what you and I are here for. We want to chat about it. It's a great show. Hit me with why you decided to go with Schitt's, and like, what do you have any favorite scenes or favorite episodes or favorite character?
Listen, when you brought this upon me, I was like nervous because I watch sports, I watch like historical documentaries, and that's about it. And so it made me think. I was like, I really had to think of a show that not only did I enjoy it from start to finish, I reference it with gifs, and then I have characters that I felt like I would love to hang out with in real life. Favorite character, David Rose. Best gifts in the entire world too.
Their gift packages are pretty elite, considering what's out there. They've got a lot out there. It's awesome.
Yeah, if they were to ever do a spinoff season or something, I would be all for it.
Awesome, dude. I'm all for it too. And it was funny. It was like inspirational. Like my favorite scene was the scene where Stevie sang in the Moulin Rouge. Cabaret.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm just watching this show like 2 episodes before that. I'm busy like laughing, giggling in bed. Like 45 minutes later, I'm crying in bed. I'm just like, what's going on over here? So it's a great show. If you haven't watched it, spoiler alert, we're going to be throwing some references out there. But you started off with your comps as Willie Z coming as the vet pet detective Ted. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, man. So when I picked Ted, like when I broke down Ted, I was like, man, I just think of like Ted as this like sweet, innocent guy, kind of like has his like figuring it out period. And I consider that like Willie Z when he was kind of figuring out his putting, kind of had his little breakthrough, right? He has his breakthrough in the show. And I think Willie Z had his breakthrough, but still not where he wants to be because, kind of life keeps just resetting him back. And it's kind of his personality, kind of just bad things, not bad things, but like unfortunate circumstances kind of happened to him. And that's what I felt with Willie Z.
Dude, love it. Off the top rope right away. Like the patience shown by both of these guys. Like when Willie Z showed up to Sony playing golf like us, I was like, oh, this is not a good situation, right? Like second at Riv like a month later.
Yeah.
So what do we know? Like Ted makes a big comeback. I mean, how many times did he propose? Like 4 times.
Dude, yes.
Like, so finally gets his girl, it's a great, and their love story is just the best, dude. So
yes.
I'm going to do 2 for you, 1 for me, because you came in hot and heavy with like 10 or 11 of these. So I'm going to kind of split it up that way and go to your next guy, who was Scotty Scheffler as not Dexter. Sorry. I was throwing this stuff together. Kind of looks like Dexter in a way.
Yeah.
But this is Patrick. I did this the last time as well, and I completely forgot to change someone. But Patrick, I mean, if you know, you know. So
yeah.
with it.
So this is going to be, I guess, a spoiler. So Patrick, you had to go with someone like super good vibes, just a genuine person, but also supportive and protector of the hearts. And that is what I think of Scotty Scheffler. Scotty's story, I was at TPC and he does his interview, but she was my fiance at the time. She pulls in, like I'm getting her through media. Sorry, breaking rules, but whatever. And Scotty's like still there. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like staying back and like signing the autographs for all these kids who just came to tour the media center and like doesn't have to do that. He already played a practice round. Like he just go home, And I was like, that's just such a sweet dude. Also, like, I figure if we have, the main character, who my main character is, I had to have Scotty as the pairing. I won't give it away. I was trying to dance around my my spoilies there.
No, dude, that is so true. Patrick is, oh man, like when he sings, like a lot of the singing in the show got to me, man. Like,
oh my god, yeah,
that was like so cool. So intimate. It was so
yes.
Scotty is so like intimate with us when it comes to hey, I just drive my car, me and whatever his wife's name is. We just sit and play board games, and
Yeah.
like I'm dropping like $30 a month on my car insurance because it's a car I had in college. Like
Yep.
all good. Like I'm just here to have a good time and look after those that are around me. And I think you're spot on with that analysis. I'm going to go from a little more softy feely to a very much more flamboyant situation where I have Moira Rose. I have no idea how to spell her name, but it's there.
I think that's right. Yeah.
And Ian Poulter. And I went with the hair. Obviously that's the number one resemblance.
Yeah.
Both have this like British flair, this British like accent. I don't even know what Moira's accent is, but
crazy.
yeah, it's crazy. It's unhinged. It's crazy. It's Moira Rose's accent. It's like the only one there is. And she's just always showing up. The wigs, Pult's always got the fancy hair.
Yeah.
And then Moira dresses to the 4s and the 10s, depending on how you like appreciate her fashion sense. And the same with Poulter, like they both came out the gates hot and heavy when it comes to like the fashion wardrobes, and they fiery characters too. They are not afraid to show their emotions. Moira will jump right back into the closet, and Poulter, you never want to deal with that guy when you're playing Ryder Cup golf, like mess with his family and we got some problems. So, and then also like right before Stevie goes and sings, like Moira gave her one of the best like pep talks ever.
Yeah.
Like she came out of her character a little bit, and that to me was like Poulter in the Ryder Cup, like a completely different individual. Just goes to the next level and just raises everybody's game around them. So that's the situation for me. You also had Moira, and you went with Justin Thomas as the comp for Moira Rose. Hit me with it.
Yeah, so this was a tough one here, right? With Moira, I didn't know if I wanted to go like with her crazy outlandish stuff, right? Or if I wanted to go with more of the maternal figure who doesn't really know they're the maternal figure, right? Like the person who's kind of in their own little world, but still has people that look up to them and gravitate towards them. And that's what I kind of felt like Justin Thomas was. Like Justin Thomas doesn't, if you ask Justin Thomas if he's a role model, he's going to be like, dude, what are you talking about? Right, bro? And he's like in his own little world in that sense where people still are looking up to him or still counting on him to kind of be that shining guiding light. And I thought it fit like kind of really well with just kind of that aspect of their characters.
That is awesome. I'm so glad I kind of, when my guests send me their names, I try and figure out, okay, what pictures do I need in order to make this association like the best? And I went with the more like my Moira, your Poulter. Your Moira is exactly this, like she's this endearing, under the radar, motherly figure. And that's so, I don't think about JT like that, but that is so spot on, man. He's this young, but now old guy, like he's been on tour forever. And I think, being under Tiger's tutelage, I think he's kind of taking on that mantle a little bit. I wish he was more of an alpha, in the clutch situations.
Yes.
That's not what Moira is anyway either. Like she gets a little flustered at times as well. Let's dive into, you had David as Rory McIlroy.
Yes.
Let's go.
Listen, Rory just gives off main character vibes. Regardless of what it is, it's main character vibes. If David were the main character of this show, they would name the show after him. Because this dude is the king of, it's me. I'm going to tell you how I feel about it, and I'm going to let you know if that's right or wrong. And everything that we've seen from Rory throughout his career, he will tell us what's right and wrong. He will give us some opportunities to be like, what'd you say? But also give us the laughs throughout the moment. But what's also great about Rory, and this will bring back to his second to last interview I saw, when he kind of had Jocko's back, when the asterisk, and Rory was basically like, the person who asked that question kind of led him down that path.
Yeah.
And David, as the show progresses, he kind of turns from this so self-centered person to kind of changing his stripes, but still being that David's an alpha. I don't care what anyone says. David's an alpha, still being that alpha, but cares about people a little bit more. And I felt that's what kind of like Rory was. Like, you know, Rory's been so outspoken, especially all things live, but I think he's starting to know, like, you're not going to get many places just being abrasive or always making it like beat to your drum. You kind of have to, you know, let other people into the cadence.
What's the phrase? You can catch flies with honey or shit syrup, or like, you know, I think that's exactly it. You know, whatever the first one is, they go away from that and start using a bit more honey. And I think you spot on in that regard. Like, I haven't thought, like, it's so crazy how this is my favorite part about the show as well. You see how other fans view other golfers, right? And also just the characters in the movies too, which is really, really interesting. And Rory he's like gone from being the advocate and the spearhead, and now he's kind of just nurturing and kind of living his best life. So jumping from Rory to another shorter individual, I kind of went with Brian Harmon as Stevie for my comp. The main reason I went with this is Stevie typically comes across in the series as very short, right? Like, she's short-witted. She's very snarky and like funny, you know, when she says her things, but it's very short sentences. Like, oh, really? You know, like she won't a sentence. Brian Harmon, I'm not entirely sure what his personality is like, but he's in stature, he's a short guy. In the tee, he's a short guy.
Yeah.
Short game is amazing. So the short reference there for me was kind of where I wanted to go. Neither of them is like the most exciting individual. They kind of just go along, you know, in their own little way under the radar. And then out of nowhere, both just have this amazing moment in their career in the series. My favorite part of the series, obviously, when Stevie just rips the song, you know, in the cabaret, and just, you know, really at the end of it, she's like shocked that she like, was that just me? You know, she like went outside of her body kind of thing. Brian Harmon won the Open by a landslide.
Thank you, by the way, Brian Harmon. My wallet appreciates it.
Brian Harmon, hell yeah, man! Congrats on that. That was
I only put 3 golf bets out that week because I was on vacation.
Isn't that also the truth?
I was like, no way.
But yeah, dude, Brian, cashing you tickets, cashing him a claret jug. You know, I mean, that's one of his biggest moments of his career, undoubtedly. And I think, you know, just both really interesting people, very boring characters to say, you know, like, but they do their job and they're quite cool to kind of pay attention to. So you went on a completely different situation. I used the same photo. Stevie as Ricky Fowler.
Yes. And this is not Ricky from years ago. This is Ricky from
now. Okay.
From now, Ricky who, you know, and this is kind of what I was thinking, and someone I wanted to, who made me feel this kind of way. Like, you know, Stevie's kind of like, you know, the soft person who needs things to go their way. The person who's kind of just there at times, you know, often forgot about, has her breakthrough. And then now we're starting to look at her in a different light. I just took this small little couple of years of Ricky where, you know, he's just chucking along, right? You know, grinding to make it into the majors, you know, has his little support water bottle, just feels like the softer guy who kind of needs things to go his way. Even like it's kind of been like that way on the golf course now, just, you know, chucking along on the golf course, and boom, has his breakthrough at Rocket Mortgage. And he's, you know, he needed that moment, that boom, I am Ricky Fowler. Like, I'm not just Rick who just goes out to the golf course and grinds out cuts. And I felt like that was kind of my comparison between the two.
I love it. I feel like that's very similar to, I think Stevie is the epitome of never give up, right?
Yes.
I feel like kind of just keep chasing your dreams no matter what people think of you, off you go. But let's be honest though, since Ricky won the Rocket, it's been like he restarted the series.
Yeah, he did. He's like, I'm back on episode 1. Hey.
His subscription ran out and now he's on stuff, you know, like season 4, 5, and 6 aren't available to him. So we're gonna need Ricky to get back in the mode. But definitely agree with you on that front, before and not after the Rocket though. You went with Shane Lowry as Roland Shit. I like this one too. So hit us with your reasoning for this one.
Yeah, I put Roland as like reminds me of like the creepy dude who only seems to notice about themselves, but it's like he's doing it all in a nice way. Like it's not like he's mean. But so he just doesn't know. Like he beats to his own drum just out there. And I feel like that's what Shane Lowry is. Like Shane Lowry is just this guy like doesn't care what you think about him. He's gonna do what he wants, and it's not in a mean way. It's in the nicest way humanly possible. And I thought this was actually my favorite comparison between the two. This was the first one that I wrote down. So what I did is I picked all the characters and I broke down things I'm looking for in characteristics. And Shane Lowry was the first one that tied me to Roland.
I love it, man. And I think you're so spot on. Like he's so funny. He's so, like, but not on purpose.
Yes.
Well, and that's the thing. Shane, he's funny to watch. I know you had an outright him last week. He's like funny as a viewer that doesn't have an outright to watch him, not on purpose, just go from having his second or third best approach day of his career on Saturday to just not even close on approach at all on Sunday when he needed to. It's just so I can see that. And Roland also completely just causes unnecessary chaos.
Oh, yes.
He causes, and I feel like that's another way Shane can be involved. And, but ultimately at the end of the day, just the nicest guys.
Nicest. And they're both so nice. Holy crap.
So nice. But hey, I think I saw Shane saying something about the golf doesn't owe you anything. If I'm just going to go out there and do my best, at the end of the day, it is what it is, so be it. But it's been a tough run for him. All right, we're rocking and rolling with, I think, 3 in a row for you. Yeah. So we've got Johnny Rose as a Geordie. I feel like I have a Johnny too, so I'll go after you.
Yeah, and this is going to show you, like, it feels like these younger golfers who are now these older golfers are taking this next step. For me to look at Jordan Spieth as a paternal figure, because Jordan talks about his kids, right? Like kid, however many he has, but he talks about being a father. And I wanted someone, who is the cool dude, right? Like Jordan used to be, and I think this is probably what drove me to liking Jordan is he used to be totally different, right? But like the Jordan that we have now is this cooler, calmer, collected, as much as he's going to get. But just like Johnny Rose, cool, calm, and collected as much as he's going to get. There's still those moments of chaos in Johnny Rose, and it's same thing as Jordan Spieth. Both paternal figures, both are cool, calm, and collected, but have their certain moments of chaos, and they think they both want to be cool. Like, I think Jordan wants to be cool. I think Johnny wants to be cool.
Dude, exactly it. And just to add to the paternal thing, not necessarily like the best parents,
Yeah.
A little bit like, but just the way he like holds his kid early on, like when we see photos, like Johnny, when they were saying, we did everything. We hired all the right nannies. We sent him to the best boarding schools. Like, what did we do wrong? Involved in their life, you did nothing else. So not as extreme as Johnny, but like it's interesting to see these guys just like be a human. You can have won all these majors and everything, but at the end of the day, you're in charge of another kid as well. Like another human that you have to look after. So. Really interesting. And it's kind of funny that you went with like the father figure situation, because I also have a comp with Johnny Rose as Cam Young. Obviously, I never realized Cam Young had a kid until like last year.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's his second kid or something, he's a dad and he's just also personality wise, not nearly as like, I wouldn't say like trying to be cool like Johnny is, but they also seem very reserved, like for the majority of the time. And then kind of Johnny gets animated, like you said, he can be as chilled as he can be, as much as Johnny Rose can be, right?
Yes.
Cam Young gets himself in the mix, finds himself, in contention, gets a little flustered, just can't quite get it together. Whether or not he's playing his best golf or not, who knows? But also at the right time when they have to stand up and really take accountability for the situation, Johnny Rose takes care of business. Cam Young in majors, man. The guy's a
Yeah.
savage, you know. So love what he can get up to. Did I have any other comps? They're just old souls, you know. Like
Yeah.
Cam Young has got that old
Yeah,
soul
he
vibe
does.
to him. Very much old soul vibes, right? So
Yeah.
love what's going on there. I really like your Spieth one's a bit more spot on though. You know, I think I got a little lazy with this one, but we'll let you dive into another player here. I think I kind of skipped a bunch of yours, but I went hard with you. So let's go back to me again, yeah.
Oh, yes.
And I've got Alexis as Taylor Gooch. Did you send through an Alexis? I can't.
I did.
I may have missed it, but
It's okay.
It's okay. So we can just chat about it as we go. But I have Taylor Gooch as Alexis because it's, if I were to title this caption, it's, hey, look at me, but also I'm a complete airhead and don't know why you're looking at me. You know, like, why are you looking at me? But I'm okay with whatever reason it is you're looking at me.
Yeah.
I'm just getting your attention and doing their thing. And like they thrive in the most, you know, like pointless environments. You know, they both just like Alexis. If you told me that Taylor Gooch just drove past an exit and kept driving for another 40 minutes on like a 30-minute car ride, I would not be surprised. You know, and Alexis does that because her dad was sleeping. And when he wakes up, says, why didn't you turn off? She's like, I don't want to wake you up. It's like, why didn't you wake me up? Because you're grumpy. And then she's like, look, you're being grumpy now. You know, like, it's just like they turn they're like, their perspective on life is so like abstract and distorted.
Yeah.
It's just hilarious. So I just thought that this was the way to go for these two. They just matched up perfectly for me. You know, just their perception of reality is just not what we see. So, yeah.
It's funny. It's funny because I feel like when we talk about these, like we look for different things, which is so awesome. That's what I love about, you know, anything that you're watching. I'm a movies guy more so than TV. And for Alexis, I did Max Homa. Yeah. And the reason I picked Max Homa was because if you talk about Schitt's Creek from start to finish, one of the best changes in a person comes from Alexis.
Yes.
And I think that's Max Homa's career, where, you know, it was just kind of existing, right? And then Max Homa had this surge and this change where, you know, he kind of just started grinding away wins over on the West Coast, and now he's being looked at kind of different. But then you got to remember when he went and played in New Orleans, went out and partied, and went out in the next round and played horrible. So still has those kind of like, what are you doing, man? Moments. And that's what we see with Alexis. Like, you sure about that? What are we doing here? So
I did have it for you, and I kind of just missed it. But dude, that's exactly it. I love the career arcs that you've got going are amazing. Yeah. You know, I mean, Max, dude, he went through it, dude.
Yeah.
To come to the PGA Tour, achieve your dream, and then have to go back down is brutal. And Alexis, I mean, if you start the show and ever think that she would be who she was when it ended,
exactly,
I tell you, you're just a liar. You know, like there's no way. So they overcame so much together, and I think, you know, spot on, dude. I did have it. I don't know where it went to, so apologies for that.
All good.
I also have a Max Homa comp.
Oh,
and it's David Rose, right? Both very likable.
Yes.
Both very likable. I mean, everybody loves David. Everybody loves Max. I feel like, you know, whenever their best attribute, arguably, is when they're speaking. You know, they just captivate the room. Everyone wants to listen to what they have to say. They often like really outspoken about some stuff, and also at the same time saying really like poignant stuff, but also funny stuff. You know, like I just love what they both get up to. And the tie from David's Alexis's brother, and I think Max and Taylor Gooch were both good buddies, right? I mean, basically Gooch, Max's brother, before he went over to live there. They were bros for sure. And I think he handles Gucci quite well. I can see how that relationship thrives. It makes a ton of sense to me. They like find themselves out of place in certain environments and get like really anxious or socially awkward or uncomfortable. You know, David just at any given moment can like be anxiety stricken about
Yes.
like, or just like awkward, you know, like he wants to just get out of the situation. Max, up until recently in the majors, you know, like similar situation, like, what am I doing here? I don't want to play my best golf. I'm not comfortable in this environment. Unfortunately, that's the situation that Max has been through a lot. But now the thing that we mad about Max about now is the fact that he can't conquer these majors, right? And
Yes.
it's coming. It's coming.
Yep.
I don't know about this year. He's got the baby and all that stuff, but it's coming. I think he's going to be great at them at some point. And yeah, I think just the insecurities that they have in these like awkward situations definitely kind of resonated with me. Cool. One more for each of us. And your final one was Keegan Bradley as Jocelyn.
Oh, man. Yeah. So, oh, my God. Forgive me for what I'm about to say, Keegan, if you ever hear this. But I thought of Jocelyn like super sweet, kind of skittish, and kind of like a little ignorant at times, right? And like, I felt the same way about Keegan, right? Like, it's the skittish kind of personality. But also can snap back. I have a story. It's kind of funny. Oh, man, this has got to be from 2018 Bay Hill. It was a Thursday round. We were following Keegan. And so Keegan typically sprays his drive. I found the exact landing spot where I think he would spray on this hole. And so I tell my buddies, I go, yo, let's stand right here. Dude sprays the drive within like 10 yards of us, right? And then so I'm so excited. My other boy who's with us is like, dude, I'm going to go get more drinks. You know, he took off work for this. And so I'm so excited. We're all talking. Keegan is getting ready to hit his ball. I'm loud. My buddy's down there talking to his friend really loud. He turns around and just yells, can you shut the boop up? And I was like, oh my God. Like my friend just got yelled at by Keegan. I felt like Jocelyn would be like the same way. Like, you know, super nice. Keegan's a super nice dude. But like if she needs to freaking give you a little kick in the rear, she'll give you that little cricket kick in the rear. And that's why I picked Keegan for this one.
Dude, that's so awesome. And that's like, to me, that's warranted. You know, like some of the stuff when like Billy Horschel and Zach get into the guys, I feel like that's just them like releasing anger. Whereas, you know, Keegan, ultimate nice guy, just golly, you know. I mean, I really would have loved to have seen him play in Rome. I think.
Yeah, me too.
I think he would have been a great selection. Who the hell knows? He seems like he's a great team guy. I don't know how much the USA people love him though, but it is what it is. I love it, man. I mean, a personal story attached with that, money on the money. All right. Speaking of money, speaking of Matt, speaking of Mark Hubbard, this, I mean, just off the bat, I mean, just looking at these two, if Hubbard actually gave a shit about how he looked, I think he could pull off the Mutt look quite nicely, you know, make like really look like a handsome son of a gun. I think obviously Mutt lives in a cabin, like a barn.
Yeah.
Mark Hubbard's Twitter handle is Homeless Hubs, you know, like they literally have that connection together there. They both just the most easy-going individuals you could ever think of, right? Like, don't want to deal with the drama. Just let me have a fun time. I think Mark Hubbard, you know, like, dude, he's been playing some bad golf over the weekends lately. Like, makes sense and then just like doesn't care.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the same thing with Mutt. I think you could both see them doing endless hours of community service just to hang out with a chick that they digged. You know, I think that's what Mutt does with Alexis. I think Mark Hubbard's basically just making the weekend so he can just play more golf and not play well. You know, like that's just how he goes. So they both do, you know, things exceptionally well. I feel like Mutt's just, you know, the ultimate nice guy, and Hubbs is just one of the best iron players ever, like very undercover. And I think that's just kind of the role I wanted to do. But to me, this has been one of the most like strikingly familiar appearances that I could come up with. You know, not a lot of these golfers kind of match up to the characters from like, I think Shane Lowry was compared to like one of the kings from Game of Thrones.
Okay.
And that was pretty fitting, but it's tricky to get that way. But yeah. Any other takes on Schitt's Creek there, Brad?
Great show. Needs to come back. I actually what's David's real name? I'm drawing a blank. I know it's
Levy.
Levy. I'm drawing a blank, but I actually started becoming a big fan of him personally after the show. So I've seen like a couple of things that he's done, some of the projects that he's worked on. So good for him for writing the shows really well.
Yeah. Did you watch the show about the show?
Yes.
Yes. Good. It's like there's not a lot of shows you can do that about.
Yeah.
I don't think, they would come across as sentimental and as like emotionally charged as that one. And I think working with your family, I never realized that. Oh, I guess did we do Twyla and Xander? But
no. I'll be quick. I can say Twyla real quick. I just said like the lover, but like kind of often forgot about, right? And I felt like that's what I feel like with Xander, with like Patrick Cantlay, like, oh, kind of the lover, but like kind of forgot about because Patrick Cantlay kind of overshadows that a little bit.
Yeah, emotionless. They just like this like black hole of emotion. You never know what's really going on with them, and then you kind of get them beyond the situation and they have some fun. But yeah, dude, great show. It's easily one of my favorite. I like kind of fall asleep to it every now and then. How do you like go? Can you just fall asleep out of nowhere, or do you like watch some TV or?
Now I fall asleep out of nowhere because I have the newborn.
Oh my God. Yes.
And I'm not even allowed to have the TV on because the baby will wake up. But if I sleep in the guest bedroom, I'll have the TV on. I typically will, if there's no sports on that I want to pay attention, I need to pay attention to it for me to fall asleep. If there's no sports on, I'll put on Triple D or Chopped or one of the two.
Cool. That's lots of fun, man. Yeah. I kind of just fall asleep to like random shows that I like, these like Frasier, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, things like some fun shows. So Brad, tell the people what's cooking. Tell them where you can find you outside of Bay Hill Club and Lodge this week. And thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, if anybody wants to, find me on Twitter or X, at Mr. Brad Thomas. If you're out at Bay Hill, shoot me a DM. I'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not Sunday, because I need to watch the final round from my house and sweat it out regardless of what bets I have. Got some stuff coming out, cooking for Premier League, so just make sure you guys tune in. Golf bets are pretty much done, but I'm excited for you having me on here.
Dude, I had a blast with you. I love how we look. I feel like this is going to be a Hall of Fame on Back Nine Bets. It's going to take someone seriously showing up because they can show up with the shirt, they can show up with the hair. Whether they have both, that's yet to be determined. So I really appreciate you showing up, Brad. Thank you so much. Next show for Back Nine Bets will be Sunday night's research stream at 9 Eastern. We'll be going through the players, making sure we deep dive the guys we think is going to win that tournament. So good luck this week at the Arnold Palmer. Don't forget to use code MANIAC for 10% off at anything Roto Baller related. And we'll catch you guys next time.